All right, let's dive into this Bitcoin frenzy. I mean, seriously, it's about to hit $90,000. Everyone's buzzing about extreme greed in the market. What's that all about? We're going to break it all down right here.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The total crypto market cap just went over $3 trillion. That's a big deal.
Feels like we're at a turning point, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try to make sense of it all. We've got a bunch of stuff to unpack. News, market data, expert opinions. So where do we even begin?
Well, got to start with the big news. Donald Trump, back in the White House, and his take on Bitcoin has totally flipped. It's a huge shift from what he used to say about crypto.
Yeah. Remember when he called it a scam? Now he's all about a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah.
He wants to shake up the SEC. What does all this mean, really?
So this strategic Bitcoin reserve, which Senator Cynthia Lummis first brought up, means the government would hold on to Bitcoin that they get from, criminal activity instead of just selling it off. It could become like a national asset, right? Maybe even help against inflation.
So instead of cashing in, they just hold it. Interesting. And what about the SEC changes? He's not a big fan of the current chair, is he? Gary Gensler.
No, not really. Gensler's been pretty tough on crypto. Trump wants someone who's more crypto-friendly in that position. This could mean looser regulations, maybe, more investment, more innovation in the U.S.
Sounds like the U.S. is trying to become the go-to place for crypto, huh?
Maybe, yeah. He also wants to boost Bitcoin mining here, taking some of that power away from places like Kazakhstan and Russia. And he said no to a central bank digital currency for the U.S., worried about financial privacy. So basically, he's all about individual control over your digital assets, which is like the core idea of crypto.
Wow, he's really going for it.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if this is why Bitcoin is surging, right?
Could be part of it for sure. But there's also this, the Federal Reserve just cut interest rates again.
Yeah, by 25 basis points, right? Brings the target range down to 4.5 to 4.75%. Doesn't seem like a huge change.
True, but it's the second cut since September. Shows the Fed is trying to, walk a tightrope, stimulate the economy, but not let inflation get out of hand.
Okay, help me understand this. How do interest rate cuts affect the crypto market? What's the connection?
Basically, when borrowing gets cheaper, people and businesses tend to take more risks. So they might put money into, say, Bitcoin, which can be risky, but also potentially more profitable.
So it's like this easy money situation pushes people towards riskier things, like Bitcoin.
You could say that. And it's a global trend, too. Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, even Peru cut rates. Everyone's trying to boost the economy.
Okay, so we've got Trump on board with crypto and central banks everywhere are cutting rates. Is that why the crypto market's going nuts?
Part of it, yeah. But we need to talk about another thing. Global liquidity.
Global liquidity. For those of us who don't speak economist, break it down for us.
Okay, simple terms. It's the total amount of money out there in the global economy. And guess what? It's gone way up. Like over 4% growth just this past week. We're at a crazy $131.263 trillion. It's like the fuel for this whole market rally.
Whoa. But where's all this extra money coming from?
That is a good question, and the answer might surprise you. A lot of it is because of this thing called the collateral multiplier.
Collateral multiplier. That sounds complex.
Yeah, that's the best sound. Basically, banks can loan out more money based on their assets. So when asset prices go up, like stocks and crypto, banks can lend even more, and that increases liquidity.
It's like a loop then. Rising prices, more lending, more liquidity, even higher prices.
Right. But here's the catch. It might create a bubble, this liquidity boost. It's not always backed by real economic growth. It relies on this multiplier effect, and that can be a bit shaky.
Okay, I see where the greed comes in now.
Yeah.
But you said there's a catch. I think I know where this is going. It's about China, isn't it?
You got it. China's credit growth has been slowing down. That includes things like bank loans. And China's such a big part of the global economy that any weakness there, it can affect everyone.
So even with all this crypto-friendly policy, all this easy money, there's this underlying worry because of China. Like everyone's waiting to see if it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Makes you think. Is this Bitcoin surge for real, or are we about to see a big drop?
It's true. To get a sense of where Bitcoin's going, we have to look back a bit. It's been pretty crazy, right? All these booms and busts.
Yeah, Bitcoin's famous for these huge price jumps and then bam, big corrections. Like, it needs to catch its breath. What's that thing people say? Price discovery. What does that even mean?
Good one. So price discovery is basically when Bitcoin goes way past its highest price ever. It's entering a whole new zone. Usually you see strong rallies and then, like you said, a breather or a correction. Like in 2017, Bitcoin surged for about 8 weeks and then had a pullback. And in the 2020 2021 cycle, the correction came after just 4 weeks. So where are we now in this cycle? Are we about to hit the brakes?
Some people think we're only in week 1 of this price discovery phase. If that's true, then Bitcoin could keep going up before a big correction. But, history doesn't tell the future, right?
Definitely not. So what could mess this rally up? What should we be watching out for?
Everyone's talking about the U.S. Consumer Price Index report. That's the one that measures inflation.
Inflation. Always makes investors nervous. Why is it such a big deal for Bitcoin? More than other things.
It's really important for the Federal Reserve. If inflation is higher than they expect, they might not cut rates anymore. And remember, those rate cuts are a big reason why everyone's feeling so risky right now.
Okay, what are they saying about inflation? Good news or bad news?
Most people think headline inflation will go up a little to 2.6% from 2.4%. Core inflation might stay at 3.3%. But any surprises, especially if it's higher, that could shake things up.
Okay, let's imagine. Inflation is higher than expected. What happens to Bitcoin?
Well, if the Fed feels like they need to stop cutting rates, maybe even raise them, the U.S. dollar gets stronger. And a strong dollar usually means bad news for risky assets like Bitcoin. Some analysts are even saying we could see a 10% drop if inflation gets out of control.
So even with all this excitement, Bitcoin's still tied to the bigger economy, right? Reminds us that this isn't a game. There are real risks.
For sure. Now let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about something else that's been pushing Bitcoin up, the growth of Bitcoin ETFs.
Oh yeah, everyone's talking about ETFs. It's like everyone wants in on Bitcoin, but through these funds, they're super popular. Why is that?
It's pretty simple. ETFs make it easier for regular investors to get into Bitcoin. They don't have to deal with the technical stuff like buying it, storing it securely. They just buy shares of a Bitcoin ETF through their broker. Easy.
Like a simple on-ramp to the crypto world.
You got it. And it's bringing in a lot of institutional money, which is good for Bitcoin. Makes it seem more legit, more stable. Right now, Bitcoin ETFs hold over $90 billion in assets. They're getting close to gold ETFs, which hold more, but not that much more.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like ETFs are helping Bitcoin become mainstream. But you mentioned earlier that Trump's policies could have some downsides too.
Right. While his pro-crypto stuff is exciting, some people worry that his policies, especially the tax cuts, could lead to more inflation in the long run. And if that happens, the Fed can't keep cutting rates.
So it's a trade-off, right? Short-term, good stuff from rate cuts. But maybe long-term inflation worries. It's a complicated puzzle. If you're listening to all this, maybe new to crypto, how should you think about it all?
Great question. For anyone thinking about crypto, remember, there's potential for big wins, but it's also super volatile. It's a roller coaster. Exciting going up, but got to be ready for those sudden drops.
So buckle up, right?
Definitely. Do your research, understand the risks, don't invest more than you can lose. It's easy to get carried away, especially with all these crazy price headlines. Stay grounded, make good choices.
Good advice. It's exciting, but it's still a new market, still unpredictable. Now back to our main question. Is this Bitcoin surge just hype? Or is there something real behind it? It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've covered a lot. Trump, the Fed, global liquidity, ETFs.
And those Bitcoin cycles could keep going up for a while, right?
Yeah.
Before a big correction. It's pretty fascinating to watch it all unfold.
Definitely keeps you on your toes. But I think we've given everyone a good way to understand what's happening with Bitcoin, what to look out for. So the big question now, what does all this mean for you?
Yeah, exactly. How do you deal with all this?
Yeah.
Do you jump in and maybe make a lot of money? Or do you wait and see what happens?
It all depends on how much risk you're comfortable with, right? What your goals are. And how well you understand what's going on. That's what we tried to do here. Give you the information so you can decide for yourself.
No right or wrong answer. Just got to do what's right for you. What makes you comfortable?
Exactly. This whole deep dive has been about giving you the tools to make those smart choices.
We've gone through the politics, the economics, the historical stuff, and it all affects where Bitcoin's headed. But it doesn't stop here. The crypto world is always changing. Got to stay informed if you want to keep up. Keep learning, keep exploring, and never stop asking questions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been great diving deep with you. Until next time, good luck with your investments.